Assignment. The tenant buyer shall have the unqualified right to sublet and or assign, sell, transfer, and convey any rights which the tenant buyer or their heirs, executors, administrators, and successors may have in this contract to a third party without written notice. Further, any assignment will release the original tenant buyer from any liability and will substitute the assignee in place. Just like number 4, just like number 8, if you are not doing a sandwich lease option, and this is not, then I want you to absolutely remove this clause whatsoever, because this would be assuming you are the tenant buyer and doing a sandwich lease option rather than you providing this contract to another tenant. So number 4, number 8, and number 16, ensure that you've deleted it before you turn around and take this contract to your new tenant. Otherwise, you're putting all the power in their hands and they could screw you. Exercise of option. To exercise the option, tenant buyer should notify landlord seller in writing as soon as possible. What I would add to this here is I would say, within writing, in writing as soon as possible, within 5 days from the time that the option is to be exercised. You're going to put your initial here, they're going to initial it, so it's absolutely crystal clear that you guys have read and acknowledged and agree to this condition of the contract. Very small, very simple, but very powerful condition. Encumbrances. Landlord-seller will convey marketable title to the tenant buyer upon the execution of said option. During the term of this lease, landlord-seller shall not encumber the property with any additional mortgages and shall not encumber the property with any additional liens. That's very straightforward. Escrow shall be opened with, you put the title company or attorney's name. The escrow instructions will be issued and a memorandum shall be recorded. Prorations, closing costs, assumption, and refinancing costs. Real property taxes on the property and general and special assessments, if any, for the current fiscal year shall be prorated to the close of escrow and paid by the seller landlord, that's you. The closing costs shall be those closing costs incurred in conjunction with closing and escrow and shall be paid at the close of escrow as follows. Buyer and seller to pay normal closing costs. All right, it's just a fair shake, 50-50 split. Time is of essence in this agreement. Right to cancel option. This, again, just like 4, 8, and 16, number 22, I want you to omit. If you're not doing a sandwich lease option and you are not the tenant buyer. If you are, then maintain it. 23, right to extend. Tenant buyer shall automatically have the right to extend this agreement under the same terms for an additional 12 months. Just like number 22, I would take this out. Number 23, in a sandwich lease option, you're basically setting 6, 12, 18, 24 months. That's it. If they haven't exercised the option, it's up to you to decide if you want to continue to rent it or use sale. So remove number 23 if you're not doing a sandwich lease option here, because that gives them power. Remedy is upon default. In the event of any such default by landlord-seller, then in addition to any other remedies available to tenant buyer at law and equity, tenant buyer shall have the option to terminate this lease and all rights hereunder by giving written notice of intention to terminate. Well, as landlord-seller, you really won't be defaulting. You shouldn't be. And if you do, obviously, screw up something in this contract, then they should have that right. I mean, fair is fair, folks. Modification. Any modification of any portion of this agreement must be made in writing, signed by both parties, obviously. Default by landlord-seller on payments. In the event landlord-seller is delinquent on any payments required under this agreement or pertinent to the above property, i.e. this would be like your taxes, your insurance payments, tenant buyer shall have the right to make such payments as necessary to cure said default on behalf of the landlord.